First off, if I had to buy this bottle that you own, I would be very disappointed. I
Really?
waited my whole life to get this bottle. And it's one of those stupid European versions that's only 700 milliliters.
Why did you have to tell everybody about that?
Hello, and welcome everyone to episode 75 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're gonna hear all week long. We're your hosts, Anthony and Steven. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, 75 episodes. This is an extravaganza. We got special guests planned. We got special music planned. We might even drink a bottle of Woodford rye. Who knows what's going to happen? Are you excited for tonight?
Oh man, the streamers, the fireworks.
Oh man, we got it all planned out.
Yeah.
It was all a lie. We don't have any of that. It's just another episode.
No, actually, it's only going to be for our Patreon members.
Oh yes, for our Patreon
Paid
members, which we don't have.
Right.
If you're part of our Patreon community,
Let me know about it.
let us know, because we didn't know. And then you can celebrate the 75th anniversary episode with a 75
There you go.
milestone.
All right, so a little birdie told me you went on a little trip.
Oh, yeah. So you did hear correctly that I got invited to go on a barrel pick with the good folks at Jackson's Wine and Spirit. Initially, I didn't think I was going to be able to go because, the school year is starting and everything. And I was like, this is not going to line up with my schedule. I'm going to have some all day retreat. And the whole time I'm in that all day retreat, I'm going to be thinking about the fact that I got invited to a barrel pick and I couldn't go. But that's not what happened. I got lucky. I finally hit gold. They've invited me a few times, and I'm very appreciative that they've done that. I've never been able to go, but this time I was able to do it. And it was out in, I believe it's close to Frankfurt, Good Times Bourbon. Have you heard of Good Times?
I have.
Yeah, so Good Times is a really interesting story, not to make it about them, but I got to tell you a little bit about them. It's two guys, Jimmy Underwood and Nick Ellingsworth, I believe their names. Yeah, and Nick was there when we were doing the pick. But they started Good Times as they were enthusiasts like us. They're like buying bourbon, getting to go on barrel selections, just, part of the community, that kind of thing. And then they thought we're going to start our own company. But their shtick is that they basically source a lot of bourbon from MGP and some other distilleries that, undisclosed because of barrel brokers and stuff. And then they finish that bourbon in a lot of different casks.
Oh, do they?
Like, I'm going into this pick. It's my first actual barrel pick on site. And I'm looking like, what do people drink from Good Times? And I'm seeing things like Neapolitan, like ice cream.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck's a Neapolitan finish? Like, is that even possible?
We haven't reviewed them, have we?
We've never reviewed
Okay,
Good Times,
I
but
so.
I mean, they're not really available widely in a lot of places. But once we get our hands on this pick that I did, we'll definitely review.
I'm going to review your palate is what I'm going to do.
Oh, no, that's not good. Get the scrutiny of Steven over here telling me whether I know what I'm doing or not, right? No. I mean, this could be a really long story, but I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. So I went out there with Eric and John, the owner of Jackson's. We drove out there. We met some other folks out there, and it was just like free reign. There's just a bunch of barrels in a barn. There's a bunch of barrels aging, and you kind of just grab a thief and start tasting. And that's what we did, and we tasted through a lot of different barrels before we found a profile that we liked. And then we found like a good base bourbon we liked, and what we settled on was I think it was a double oaked bourbon that is going to be finished in a cherry cognac or brandy cask, however you want to.
Those are good flavors.
Yeah, explain that. And then a vanilla, I think they have Mexican vanilla barrels, so it's going to be like 10 days in that after it goes into the cherry cognac.
Seems
so it's
very short.
Yeah, but those flavors are very intense. And that's the thing. They told us when we were picking it that a lot of people accused them of not being able to age it long enough, but we tasted enough to know that like if these things are like in a barrel for a month, the flavors are so strong it really influences the profile of the rye or the bourbon. And so it was a great day experience, a lot of fun. Company was great. Very appreciative to Jackson's for having me out there, but I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous.
How long did it take?
The pick itself took about, I think we were there for about 2 hours, but we weren't drinking constantly. And then the other thing is when you're on a pick like that and you're tasting stuff from different finished barrels, they're not like, they're not giving you like 4 ounces of pour.
Right.
You get a little taste each time. And if you don't like something, they're just like, just dump it out. It's not an issue. And so normally I'm not one to dump anything out. And I'm over there like, oh, I didn't really like that. I'm going to dump that out. And so there was a moment where we all looked at each other and we're like, are we going to find what we're looking for here? Because it's not like a straightforward.
I would be worried about that.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we were like, where I said I'm nervous is because I think ultimately it will be good, but we won't really know until it gets finished and we get to taste it because we didn't actually taste exactly what we're going to be getting.
So on these castings that they put in for, like you said, 10 days.
Yeah.
So for that flavor, what was it, vanilla?
Yeah.
Is it a barrel that is scented or burnt with the vanilla, or like how is that being infused into the actual liquid?
So my understanding is these are all used barrels, so they're bought from a barrel broker. So for example, like out in the middle of Frankfurt, you don't just have cherry cognac barrels sitting around. So these barrels are purchased from brokers, and that's what they use them to the secondary aging process to get the flavors that they're getting. And so I don't know the intricacies of it. I asked a couple of questions, and that's the best I could do. Like for example, into these toasted honey barrels and all kinds of finishes and different things that they're doing there that you wouldn't think. It's not like from one of the big guys you got a wine barrel finish like this. We tasted a Tommy Moore. Remember that? The Thomas S. Moore. I call it Tommy Moe.
Tommy Moe.
That was bourbon aged in Cabernet barrels, and it's like, okay, that Cabernet wine is aged in a barrel, and there you go. So it's a little bit of a mystery to me where all these casks come from, but they definitely had them out there. They had like Japanese wine casks. They had all kinds of stuff. So they're getting these from barrel brokers, and then they're taking their sourced bourbon and putting them in there to finish them.
Nice. Well,
yeah.
I'm excited about the bottle whenever it comes around.
Oh yeah, no, we'll definitely talk about it and we'll review it when it comes out. But I was just happy to be on the pick. It was a good experience, and I hope we get to do one sometime for our podcast here.
Bucket list
for our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, Patreon. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible.
It wouldn't be possible without any of you guys, and don't you forget it.
We had, I think, one more review. I think it was on Facebook this week, right?
Yeah, so it was on Facebook, and we don't forget about our Facebook audience, even though we tend to mention Apple Podcasts a whole lot. So this actually came from Tristan Giroux, who gave us a 5-star rating on Facebook and wrote, "My favorite go-to bourbon podcast, casual back porch conversations without being so formal. Good stuff."
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I will point out that I do know Tristan. We got to know each other pretty well. So I was kind of taken aback because I didn't pay as much attention. I didn't know that he reviewed us on Facebook. So
and a fun surprise.
Yeah, fun surprise. Yeah. And he's is going through his own bourbon journey. We've tasted a lot of different things. I've given him samples. He's given me some stuff, and he's just become a really good friend and a supporter of the podcast. So we appreciate you.
Thank you. And if anyone else wants a shout out, please leave a review on Apple Podcast or Facebook, and we'll get to you next time we record.
Yeah.
So Anthony, this is going to be kind of a joke episode.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not a joke.
It's not a joke. But the bottle just has a lot of inside jokes to it.
There is some history to this bottle.
Yeah. So for tonight, Anthony, I have brought you, no, I'm just joking. We have on our hands a bottle of Weller 12.
Oh, yeah. Finally. Steven is holding the Weller 12. You should see how good he looks holding it in his hand. It's amazing. But
match made in heaven.
Match made in heaven. We do have some Weller 12 for you here tonight. And, of course, this is distilled, aged, and bottled by the Buffalo Trace Distillery in Frankfurt. The bottle date is 2022. The ABV is 45%. The proof is 90. The age is 12 years.
Oh,
sounds
nice
and looks delicious. This is coming from the Buffalo Trace Wheated Mash Bill, which because Buffalo Trace is so mysterious, they don't disclose. But, of course, it's the same mash bill as the famous Pappy Van Winkle. The MSRP is, you ready for this? $39.99.
This is, I can buy this. This is nice.
You can buy it. It's nice.
Good price.
But you're never going to find it at
Why
$39.
not?
Because, unless you're waiting at a Total Wine parking lot, which I did one time at 4 a.m. I got there and I was like a top 10 person in line. I got a bottle for under $39.99 because it was years ago.
Oh, is that when I got my William Lou Weller?
Oh, did you get one there?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Very good. Maybe we're the same
18?
thing. But
18, right?
I think it was 18. Yeah. I didn't realize you got a William LaRue that year.
Yep.
Oh man! If I'd have saw you, I'd punch you in the face and take that William LaRue off you.
People were trying as I had it.
That was pretty raucous, but yeah, it's even though it's got a low MSRP, if you can find it, I would say under $50, you're doing good. but most times you're going to find it for a lot more. We'll talk about that later.
Or just never find it.
Or just never find it.
So anyway, the bottle shape, though it's basic, is standard Weller, and it's eye-catching. I don't know if it's just because I know it, or by design it's eye-catching. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Now, for the old school people out there, right, the Weller wasn't always in these bottles.
No,
it was the squat bottles.
Yep.
That's what they're referred to as. But these ones now, you can call this a famous Weller Black, right? Because it's the black label. You got the blue label, the white label, the pumpkin label, the single barrel, and a lot of other labels. But it's a very elegant design. It looks very nice. I love the trim and the golden black. I know in a previous episode I talked about how it reminded me of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it really doesn't remind me of the Steelers. It just reminds me of bourbon excellence.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say with it. There's just a couple of stickers on the bottle. It's got a sweet screw top. I don't know why they have that.
Why have they moved to cork for every other premium Weller offering, including OWA, but Weller 12 still remains with the screw top?
Right.
Just shows you how much they love that screw top.
Well, they moved the OWA to cork because it's, has a higher MSRP.
That's true, right?
Yeah.
I guess the moniker is because it's a higher proof. I mean, even though it's aged less, I mean, this one at 12 years is $39.99 because they have to add a lot of water to get it down to 90 proof. So,
But other than that, I have nothing really else to say to it. It's just, like you said, the bottle's nice and elegant, and it's in black. So, and it's got big old 12 in the front of it.
And I also like the fact that on the back of this one, unlike other Wellers, you got to say Wellers.
It's kind of like the Kroger's.
It does, like the Kroger's. It doesn't say anything about Pappy. I think on the Special Reserve bottle it mentions something about Pappy.
In there.
It actually pays tribute to William LaRue Weller, as it should.
Because that is a superior product.
That is debatable, right? If Julian Van Winkle's listening, we appreciate everything you do. You're an exalted God, and Steven didn't say that.
And please contribute to a Patreon.
And contribute to our Patreon.
With cases.
Yeah, you don't even have to actually give any monetary contributions. Just give us some cases of the sweet nectar of the gods, and we'll call it even. So, Steven, did you know that we're speaking of the Julian Van Winkle, that Weller 12 is actually 90 proof, but Van Winkle Lot B is 90.4 proof. They are both the Buffalo Trace wheated mash bill, and they're both being distilled and aged there. So what do you think is going on here?
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, I think on the tour, they say that you were in the Van Winkle, what is it exactly?
I think what they started saying, and this is like, if memory serves me correctly, the first couple times I went to Buffalo Trace when I moved here, I didn't really know much about Weller or anything else. Like, I just knew that I saw it on the shelf. I tasted pretty good. Then I want to say it was 2013, and I remember telling some story in a previous episode about my uncle being there, my aunt and my uncle licking barrels and stuff. We were inside of I
remember that story.
So we were inside of the warehouse where they were aging the wheated product. And the tour guide said, very stern, you guys have heard of Pappy Van Winkle? And we're like, yeah, we've heard of Pappy, that you can't get anymore. And he was like, well, some of the barrels end up as Pappy and some are just as Weller, and Weller is available. He said, so, if you can get your hands on the Weller, it's just kind of like getting, your hands on the Pappy. That's kind of how it was framed. And Buffalo Trace was saying that a lot. And so that led me to believe that the Van Winkles get their first pick of the litter.
Right.
Other people have said this. We're not the first to say it. And then all the other stuff kind of gets bottled up as Weller. So you're kind of getting, I don't want to call it, but some people have said this, they call it the Lot B rejects.
Or the 12s.
Yeah. And so it's the most sought after reject I've ever heard of in my entire life, because most times people don't want what's rejected, but I definitely want, I think I want this. We'll see.
So that'd be interesting. I don't think the Weller 12 has actually ever had a store pick, right? We've had the Special Reserves, had store pick, the OWAs, the full proofs.
Yes, you're correct.
Other than that,
no, I don't think I've ever seen a Weller 12 store pick. If there was ever one, that must have predated my time in bourbon, because I've never seen such a thing. Yeah. That means also out there, if you ever seen somebody putting a sticker on a Weller 12 and trying to sell it and say it's a store pick, run.
Yeah.
Run the other way.
Are you ready for our first notes?
Yes, sir. I could literally, okay, so back when I was in that warehouse with my aunt and uncle, I remember standing there and saying if they bottled the scent, I would spray it all over myself and just
Cologne.
say, call it a day as a cologne. Yeah,
Weller's
cologne. And as I'm nosing this, I'm just taken right back to that moment in the about 2012, 13 range when we were there standing in a warehouse so nobody cared. And it was just as amazing as it was then.
I just smell beautiful rickhouse.
Yeah, the oak is so rich in this, and it's like it's a well-seasoned oak. It's got a lot of caramel. Gosh, it's going to sound really generic, but I will go on record as saying this. Caramel and vanilla, we know there are two notes that you get in bourbon, but caramel, vanilla, oak, if there were a perfect combination of it, layered and stacked, I would say go nose some Weller 12 so you know exactly what you're supposed to be if you're picking up this, because that trio of those is amazing. And then I'm also picking up the undertones of some dark fruit.
It's just the three of them are just so distinct,
very distinct,
and you can pick them out, by themselves individually.
Yeah,
they're not like this messy mesh of notes.
No, it's definitely, it's just so sweet. It's like candied sweet, and it's like it's almost I describe it to people as cherry almond. That I'm smelling, because it's cherry mixed with some kind of a nut. And I have drank Weller 12 before, but I don't drink it all the time. Like, I can't afford to drink it all the time.
I'm getting a little fig.
Yeah, definitely. When I talked about a dark fruit and I mentioned cherries, I tend to default to cherries, but I think that I would go with that too. Fig definitely, for sure.
This is so pleasant. This is one of those you can just sit on the back porch and just smell.
Oh, yeah. The olfactory here is just amazing. It's almost like I'm not going to sit around and just sniff bourbon all night, but if I could, I would do it with this, just because what else? It's just so pleasant. So while we're continuing our conversation here before we taste, I want to ask a quick question to you. Have you ever seen this bottle at retail?
Is this a jab at me?
It's kind of curious. A jab, but I'm just I'm wondering, because we made a lot of fun of you, but we really didn't know if you've ever, because all of us, because we've been in Kentucky so long, have seen stuff on shelves that we didn't purchase that we kick ourselves for. So did you ever see Weller 12?
The only Weller 12 story I have is, this is going to be 15 or 20 years ago.
Okay.
I went, it's my dad's birthday, and I was going to get him, I think Angel's Envy was coming out.
Okay.
And I wanted to get him a bottle of that. I was specific on getting a bottle of that. And I went to the store. I was like, do you have it yet? Because I think it hadn't come out yet. He's like, no, but I think we have some Weller 12 in. I remember this specifically. And I was like, no, I really want the Angel's Envy. So then I just walked out. I didn't see it. He just told me.
He told you.
But this is like 20 years ago.
Yeah. But the guy was looking out for you. He thought that'd be a great gift bottle. Yes, and that was probably it was $30 back then.
Yeah, right. So
not even, maybe 25.
That's my one and only close encounter.
Okay.
Of the 12 kind.
Well, I'll try not to be verbose, but I often am. The first time I ever got my hands on a Weller 12 was a squat bottle. And it was because Liquor Barn released it, and they used to send the emails. Do you remember when Liquor Barn would send the email and say, like, we're releasing these products on these days?
Yeah.
That was a really good system, I thought. But, some people couldn't figure out how to work email, and they got upset. So they're like, I can't get the announcement, so now I'm mad, and you got to figure out a fair way. But I lined up on the side of Liquor Barn, and it was a pretty long line. I'm thinking there's no way they have enough bottles to take care of everybody, but they did. And which means they must have had a couple hundred bottles, because there was a couple hundred people in line. So I got one that way, and then a friend had gotten multiple bottles because you could get out of line and get back into line. I didn't realize that. I just
Michael used to do that a lot.
Yeah, I got my one bottle and left like a moron, and my other buddy went through the line 3 times and ended up with like 3 or 4 bottles. And isn't it funny that that
was the squat bottle?
Yeah, that was 15 maybe 2014, 15.
It was that popular back then.
It was, yeah.
Wow.
It caught on because that's what happened. Once Buffalo Trace started saying when you're on the tour that it was basically like the same as Pappy Van Winkle.
But that was just at the start of probably the bourbon boom, or just before. And
it was right before, yeah.
And that line was that long.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. No, Weller 12 was always popular. I remember getting a pour of it at Bell's once when Bell's opened. Remember Bell's Cocktail House downtown?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Got a pour of it there because when they opened, they had it. And then since then, it's always been about hunting it, like just hunting like a crazy person. Like I told you about Total Wine not that long ago when I sat in their parking lot I did used to shop there, Total Wine. I shopped frequently. I was a good customer, and you don't even know that because you don't care. But anyway, yeah, I got some good stuff from Total Wine. Got it at retail, and I've gotten lucky at a couple other places. But it's not like if you're going to find it in our state, in Kentucky, it's probably releasing once or twice a year, and I don't even know if it released this past year. Like, I haven't seen it anywhere.
I never see it. I mean, I remember one time I went to a local bar, and I think it was on their list. This was like several years ago. And he's like, "Oh, I think we have some in stock." I think he gave me like a 2 or 3 finger pour, and it was like $10.
Oh man!
And it was it was in a well glass.
That's that's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. You can find it sometimes because restaurants will get it. I mean, it's not like it's unattainable, but you got to know where to be, and because the people that are looking to get their hands on it, we're looking to double and triple up.
Yeah. Well, let's go for a first taste.
Sounds good. It's just a really pleasant sipper.
Yeah.
Like,
even though I don't have this, I've done flights of the Weller product line.
Okay.
To stack up. We did a special reserve, the OWA, the 12, and the William Luo.
Okay.
I made special notings of comparing, the OWA and the 12 and the OWA to the William LaRue and the 12. I consciously made these decisions.
You were right. You were in the thick of it, right?
Yeah. And I remember like, man, I really like the OWA more than the 12 because it was just, I don't know, I felt like it brought more to the table.
Higher proof.
And then I at that point I was thinking, well, the 12 is kind of like granddad's bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a comfort drink.
Okay.
That's quality. It drinks easy. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And that's what I get here.
That's a really good description. I agree with that completely. And I think it's hard for me not to describe some of the stuff. I do think that a lot of the flavors on the nose carry over to the palate. The one thing I will say that I do get with really nicely aged and good tasting Weller on the wheaters is I get like a berry note. It's almost like
a raspberry?
It's not distinct. It's like a raspberry or cherry cobbler kind of a note that comes out that is so delicious that it's like on the finish. So up front I get the oak and the vanilla and the caramel. And I honestly, of all the bourbons that we've tasted and drank, if you blind me with a Weller product, I could probably pick it out. And this would be the one that I recognize it instantly. It's just such a delicious pour, and even at 90 proof, has a lot of complexity.
I was just going to say, when they release this at 90 proof, it is a very like solid mouthfeel, warm mouthfeel.
It's got nice oils, viscous.
It's so enjoyable.
Well, I'm looking to. I always like to swirl. We talked about swirling. It's got like amazing legs. Like, no offense, I won't say which product I drank earlier tonight, but I did drink a bourbon with dinner, and it was around a 5-year-old product, and I swirled it and looked at it, and the legs fell off instantly, and it kind of left a film that looked like soap around the glass. Really? This is so much different. Like, the top layer just sticks there, and the legs come down slowly, which means there's a lot of nice oils in this bourbon, and a lot of good age. I will say this as we're talking. Do you know that people mix this with other Weller to make what's known on the internet as poor man's Pappy?
I do, and I don't know. It's just a
How
disgrace.
Do you feel about that? You think it's a disgrace?
I don't know. I mean,
are you against home blending? What if our Patreon community likes home blending?
We're just going to call this one the Patreon episode.
Maybe it will be. It's 75th anniversary.
The fake Patreon episode.
The fake Patreon.
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the OWA so much, and I enjoyed Weller 12 so much. I mean, you blended it, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I haven't done it, but
I really go back and forth because I've never tried it, but I want to try it. But I'd have to try it and actually have an open Pappy to taste it.
Exactly.
Next to.
I mean, you're going to mix them. Like, okay, I mix them. I get this interesting combination, but I've never had the Lot B to compare it to. Actually, I think I had it once. I don't remember it, but
okay.
I don't think I was blown away by it because I've had this before. So, okay, it's what 1% better.
It's 0.4. It's
Right.
0.4.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's 0.4 better.
And it's hand selected by the people who are the people. You can't discount that.
I can't.
Hey, Buffalo Trace is about people. I've said it in a previous episode. I have. Yeah. It's about people. So, Steven, you've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
I have.
So, would you pass, try, or buy on this bottle of Weller 12?
I'm glad you asked me.
Oh, yeah.
First off, if I had to buy this bottle that you own, I would be very disappointed. I
Really?
waited my whole life to get this bottle. And it's one of those stupid European versions that's only 700 milliliters.
Why did you have to tell everybody about that?
I mean, you got ripped off.
So, quick thing here. This is actually a Netherlands Buffalo Trace version of Weller 12, meaning that it had to get bottled here in Frankfurt, sent overseas. Then I had to get it back from my buddy Andy Z, we'll call him, up in Georgetown, had to get me this bottle. So, yes.
Yeah. So, in that scenario, I would be happy but distraught at the same time that I'm not getting my extra 50 mils of
So, you
liquid.
want the full 750.
If I'm going for it, I want it all.
Okay, well, let's just pretend
Or the handle
this is,
version.
Yeah, let's pretend it's a 1.75 or 750, which I
Right.
think they discontinued a 1.75.
Maybe.
I think they did.
I'm gonna have to be a buy on this.
Oh,
I don't even know what price. Do I dare say under 100? I would buy this.
Oh, I would. Yes,
Retail.
I think you would.
If I saw this retail under 100.
My thing was, if I saw it, I can't spoil one to say because people are waiting to hear if I pass, try, or buy.
That's what I would do. I don't know what to say about this. Everything we said about how easy it is to drink, the mouthfeel,
Yeah.
the whole thing. I would buy it.
Okay. And I'm damn worried that we're not going to have any left because I feel like we keep drinking it. It's going to be like gone pretty soon. We're going to take a picture of the bottle.
Anthony, I've got to edit this episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to get thirsty.
You're going to get thirsty, and there's going to be some drinks had, and there's going to be any left. So this is definitely a buy for me, and I will say that I've adjusted what I would pay for this over the years. And so the secondary price of this has gone up. It went up to almost $300 locally at one point, but it's settled down at around $250, despite my prophesizing, which I was correct about when people thought I was crazy. So if I see this under $160, I'm going to buy it.
Retail?
If it's retail, if it's in a store and they're asking $159.99, I'll buy it.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I enjoy it immensely. I really like it. Even though some folks that I'm friends with would call me a tater, and that's fine, I accept that. It's just a really nice sipping bourbon for the price. And here's where I'm going to go with this, because I'm going to kind of dovetail out of the past try and buy to tell you my experience. I have a good buddy named Brendan, and Brendan took me down. I took him to a basketball game the one time and at UK there, and then afterward he took me to a bar. I had no idea what was going on. And he just said they had $12 pours of Van Winkle Lot B 12 and $10 pours of not OWA, sorry, Old Rip Van Winkle. And so that was the first time I got to try a 12-year Lot B. It tasted so much like Weller 12 that what I immediately did after I got to taste it, and I thank Brendan profusely, I was like, man, thank you so much. That's a once-in-a-lifetime experience because that time I didn't have a massive bourbon collection and everything else, but I had drank a lot of Weller 12. That was like my premium. I messaged a guy, the bourbon enthusiast out of Florida. He's got a big Instagram following, and I said, okay, man, you would know this better than anybody because I like to bother people on Instagram. I said, I just had Lot B for the first time, and I can't help but think that it tastes almost identical to Weller 12. I said a squat bottle at least because I had some squat bottle left at that time. I said, am I crazy or am I spot on? And I waited until he responded to me because he's got a lot of followers. And he responded and said, if you put that blind in front of people, most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But in his opinion, he said the Lot B was just a little bit more rich, a little bit more deeper flavors. And I then had the chance to try them side by side, and that's what was my consensus too. I may have been influenced by him, but I do think that
I mean, if you're going to get the pick of the litter, I mean, you're going to pick those barrels.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Think about this now. This is what we have to kind of, talk about and kind of conclude with. Is Weller 12 overpriced at $250 when Lot B is selling for around $1,000 a bottle?
So,
I mean, perspective.
A Weller 12 bottle, $500.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's not even $500. It's not even $500.
Yeah.
So, is it a bad buy at $250? I would say no, but
if you're comparing it to Lot B.
Yeah, if you're comparing it to Lot B. If you're chasing Lot B, the little bit of a spoiler I have for you guys that are really out there, because I know a lot of people like Lot B, is it's got a very similar profile to Weller 12. And the price difference doesn't really, to me, justify it. And that's why I like to have the experience. I like that pale white label. It looks like it was printed in a back room somewhere, the Lot B label. But, is it really worth it? I don't know.
I think that extra $750, you can get another bottle.
Yeah, get a couple other bottles.
Yeah. And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep it neat.